And hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Stuart Irvine and welcome to my solo review of WrestleMania Backlash 2022. Yes, obviously we're a bit later than normal, obviously because of that. I've personally had a lot of busy week last couple of days, so finding the time to record this has been kind of hard. But we're here in a show that I have to admit I wasn't exactly pumped for. I mean, WWE kind of do that where you're not pumped for the show, but when it actually was the show, it actually comes across as actually really entertaining and actually alright. So that's how I kind of feel WrestleMania Backlash. Obviously the big match that I was looking forward to the most was Seth Rollins versus Cody Rhodes 2. That seemed like a match that actually seems like they're built quite well, and they've actually kind of invested in Cody's story a little bit. So yeah, I mean, we had that. We had obviously the big six-man tag main event with obviously the Bloodline, Roman Reigns and the Usos going against Drew McIntyre and RK Bro. But yeah, I mean, obviously we had the Charlotte Flair versus Ronda Rousey in a I Quit match that was interesting. But yeah, it had some interesting matches. It was one of these things that it was watching it. I was like, okay, we can do this. This is good stuff wrestling-wise. I just think the stories were, yet again, they really don't know how to build a show that well these days. But when it comes to the show itself, it's usually nicely paced and normally pretty good. So, from my perspective. Anyway, but enough of that. So, this is my solo review. So, if you like what you see, me solo or other reviews me and Josh have done, please like and subscribe to the channel. We're on like 125 subscribers now, so we're slowly growing. That's really cool. So, yeah, if you please like and subscribe, leave a comment in the description below. Let me know what you think of this review and obviously as the pay-per-view as a whole. But, yeah, so with a lot more to say, let's get stuck straight into talking about WrestleMania Backlash. Let's get going.
316 says I just whipped your ass.
Yes! You just made the list!
Brock Lesnar.
So yes, we kick off the show with Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. Two, obviously no pre-shows. That's two pay-per-views in a row they've done this. Very good here. Because obviously I don't watch the pre-show, so now I don't feel bad if I haven't watched it, because they haven't got any, so it's fine, so it's all good. So so obviously we talk about this match start at the start of the show. Right choice, I believe. I always believe that if you start a show, it's got to be the best kind of technical match you've got, and I think Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins proved at WrestleMania Saturday, is it the thing, that they have this thing, good connection going, really good. And I think this match is, I could say, a little bit better than the one they had at WrestleMania Saturday. It's very good here. I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Obviously the story with Cody is a situation of he wants to win the WWE Championship, a title that his father never won, that I kind of like, because you can respect that. And the way they've been kind of booking him, Cody Rhodes going in, I think they're like, I don't know if it's just because of they trust him, but I feel like they're booking him like they seriously might actually give him the WWE Championship at some point. I don't know when that'll be, but I think it's only a matter of if not when, if this booking's anything to go by. Then you've obviously got Seth Rollins. I'm not quite sure what his deal is. It could be a simple thing of just he hates losing, he thinks he's better than Cody and he keeps losing to him. Might be that, ego driven, but his character's very hard to pinpoint, I would say, Seth Rollins. If anyone can let me know in the comments what his character is, please let me know, because I don't really know what it is. But yeah, when it comes to the match in general, it's very good. I think it was very, very good stuff here. There's some awesome things going on. Obviously, we had at the beginning with Seth Rollins basically countering Cody Rhodes' kind of submission, signature moves, type thing, playing mind games. See, like he's been watching him. Obviously, he must have been watching that defeat like 1,000 times, trying to figure out how to beat Cody Rhodes, because I think he's been in his head. We've got a good thing here that continues with Cody trying to go for that Cody cutter from the top, but Seth Rollins figured it out, put him over to the top. We had an amazing bit of strength from a superplex from Cody Rhodes, that kind of very Cesaro level type thing, using his strength to pull him over and hit it, so it's a bit more strength. Very good there by Cody. I don't think we've ever seen him do that. That's pretty cool. We had all kinds of awesome. It started slow, very methodical, and then it started to pick up the pace near the end. We obviously had a situation where you had went over the top rope, and then we obviously got trying to go over the top, and I think was it Rollins picked him up, hit a buckle bomb in the corner, and then he went and hit a frog splash, and he got the height of that. Wow, what the height of that frog splash! One of the best frog splashes up there with Montez Ford. Some of the best. In wrestling today. We got some kind of height for a near fall. We obviously got some stuff where I think Seth Rollins went top, hit that kind of superplex thing he does at the top, and then he kind of like tries to go into like the Falcon Arrow, but Cody cancelled it into the Crossroads. Tried to go for a cover, but but the way it went, it's like he sort of hooked his leg, but he didn't think that he hooked his leg, so his leg went on the bottom rope, so he broke up the pin. I think it's like, I don't know what that was. It's unique, very unique there. And obviously we had the bit where we saw Cody go to the top and miss a moonsault. And then obviously that kind of stuff, we hit a kick to the gut leading to a pedigree. We did have a bit back and forth between that early in the match, where they're both trying to go for the pedigree. He hits it 1, 2, 3, and he just gets the shoulder out. Awesome stuff here. But the way the match kind of ended was you got Seth Rollins kind of trying to do that thing where he's kind of, he's really messing with Cody Rhodes' a bit of mind games, doing the old left jab, kind of right jab stuff that the Dusty Rhodes used to do with the whole, one jab, two jab, and then that, and then the bionic elbow type thing. But Cody was able to move out of the way, hit a Crossroads. Then he hit another. He tried to go for another one, but then Seth Rollins was able to avoid it. Cody hit a Verna Breaker. I don't know what that is. Like very, very unusual move he does. And then obviously Rollins gets out of it, and then Rollins goes for a crawl up using the tights. But then Cody countered it and then pulled the tights himself to get the 1, 2, 3. I like that. It's like he's trying to out. It's very creative finish. I like the finish because when you think about it, Seth Rollins is very like he's been trying to play mind games, outthink Cody, and to a point, some of the moves he countered, it worked. But in this, it feels like Cody's like he outfought him. So the first match at WrestleMania was he wasn't preparing. Second match, he was outplayed. So, and from what I've seen from Raw, it looks like they're continuing that. And obviously Hell in a Cell is coming up in a couple of weeks. So maybe that's a Hell in a Cell match. I wouldn't, or some people suggesting the 3 stages of Hell. But I think I obviously we're talking about main event, but I would say this is the best match on the card so far. I enjoyed this a lot. I don't know what to say. It was really good stuff here. I think I was really enjoying. I think I might be on my own, but I'm really enjoying what they're doing with Cody. I think they've really, they haven't really been bitter and kind of said, well, okay, you left us and came back. It's kind of, they really want to push him and understand what they've got with Cody Rhodes, and I like that. I just hope they don't mess it up, but it's WWE, they probably will. But the way it's looking, Money in the Bank's around the corner, and obviously if you see the adverts for Money in the Bank, they've done it during the pay-per-view, that he's one pushing it as like an advert, so they're really pushing him like top of the the heights here. So if I was a betting man, I'm not, but if I was, I would put Cody for the Money in the Bank, but we'll find out for that soon enough. But yeah, good match, great start to the show, really hyped everyone up. I think the crowd really into it, invested. So good stuff here. So obviously that match we'll go on and talk about the next match. That is Bobby Lashley versus Omos. Maybe not the most hyped match, but I was intrigued to see what they'll do with it. So yes, let's quickly go and talk about that match. So the next match on the card was Bobby Lashley versus Omos, in a match that kind of was very set up with the idea that MVP has turned on Bobby Lashley and is now managing Omos. That would be fine, but I've got to be honest, the rationale is the word I'm known for, of MVP joining Omos. It's like, whoa, you're not listening to me anymore. So, I'm going to go to Omos. I'm not 100% liking that. I think the idea that you didn't use me at WrestleMania, I think that was the one, was like, okay, there could have been more creative ways to get MVP to go to Omos, but basically he's acting like a child saying, you didn't take me to WrestleMania. It's like, that's a bit petty. A little bit petty, but that could be his character. Maybe I'm looking at it wrong. But except for that, I mean, Omos is kind of a thing I'm not sure about him yet. He's an interesting character in the sense he's just really tall and really big. So, and we all know sometimes that isn't always a case for success in wrestling. We all think you want to be tall, you want to be really strong, and you want to be tough. But being able to talk is another thing. I think Omos is kind of struggling with, and obviously MVP with him makes sense. I just think the story I would have liked the story a bit more here, but I don't know. It's just but I wasn't expecting anything because Bobby Lashley against Omos, not exactly like the big match you want to see, especially with apparently AJ and Omos match rumoured was that's going to happen, but because it was so bad that they couldn't put it on telly. That tells you a lot. But I think surprisingly in this match he was booked really well here. I think this was a good match. It was alright. I was expecting it to be a train wreck and it wasn't. You know, it just didn't feel like a train wreck to me. I like the idea of like the MVP kind of like he's the difference maker. He's the defining thing that kind of makes the story click or glue that keeps it together. With him kind of like saying, well, he's the reason why Bobby Lashley was so successful because of his strategy. So now that he's on Omos' side, he's going to be equally as more successful because of him. So the story's all about MVP. So Omos is kind of on the wayside. So it would be interesting to see what happens when Omos is moved on from Bobby Lashley, what MVP would do. Because for this story, it works in a way. But yeah, a lot of it was early on. It was, I think it was Bobby Lashley came straight out of the gates, really went for it. But obviously, Omos' strength came, and he did like slow pace, but it was really controlling the match early on, as you expect. Bobby Lashley sending it as he's the babyface. We did have it a bit later on when we have, Bobby Lashley trying to clothesline, and he ties his arms on the ropes. Someone said another Andre the Giant, I think WrestleMania 3, I might be wrong, WrestleMania 3 moment when he's stuck in the ropes, and obviously got Bobby Lashley attacked him, repeating punches, and your MVP trying to break free, but ref sees it, and so we had that cool stuff as well. We also had a bit right near the end, it was really cool, where what was it? Bobby Lashley was locking in the Hurt Lock. He literally locked in, and you got to give Omos credit. He really sold it, of like really struggling to get out of it, but he did get out of it, shoving Bobby Lashley into the turnbuckle. But it was cool stuff. But as you expect in this match, you would know if it's all about MVP, you know he's going to get involved in the match at some point. So obviously he did. Obviously we got almost blocked a spear by blocking the spear, and almost sent Lashley into the ring post. And then when the ref was checking up on Omos, you had MVP that's won many matches for Bobby Lashley with that cane. Hit him with the cane, straight in the face, ref didn't see it, almost lift him up and hit that double choke bomb he does. Gets the pin, gets the win. And so it's true what they say, Bobby Lashley lost here. MVP is the factor on this match, so it'd be interesting to see if they make a story of, in the maybe, third match they've had, maybe he'll be banned from ringside or something like that. That's what I would go. If you got one match, didn't have anyone, second match has a manager that knows you very well, third one you want to get him out of the picture. So I think it's not an amazing match. I'm not going to lie here, but it was better than I expected. I think Bobby did try his best to make Omos look really credible here, and I think with MVP it could work in the future, but I just wish there was a more creative way to make Bobby MVP join Omos as his mouthpiece, other than just, well, you didn't ask me to come to you with down the ramp of WrestleMania. It's like, come on, man. You could have done a story where it's like he wasn't listening to him near the end of his thing, and obviously MVP was trying to, similar to when Paul Heyman used to be, similar to that, with Brock and Big Show. It's like he just stopped listening to him, so he joined the Big Show because the Big Show was listening to him. Very ego driven. That could work, but it could work here. But I don't know if that's what I would have done. But interesting stuff here. I'm intrigued to see where they go in a way. But I mean, the good thing is Bobby Lashley's still over though, because the crowd were kind of into this, and I'm kind of worried because Bobby Lashley's best run has been with MVP as his mouthpiece, but instead of focusing on him talking, focusing on what he can do in the ring. So that's his unique selling point, as they say. It's what makes people love him. He's great in the ring. He just looks like a badass, no nonsense, tough guy that would take you out. And so I'm intrigued to see what they do with that. But yeah, not a bad match, not amazing, but it was all right. It was actually surprisingly watchable. It was really good. I think it was all right. So obviously after that, this is not a match everyone wanted to see, but I think the next match is the one that a lot of people wanted to see. Obviously, that's Edge versus AJ Styles. Let's go and talk about that. So next we talk about Edge versus AJ Styles. Obviously, the sequel to their match at WrestleMania. Obviously, a very interesting story with Edge. Obviously, now with his new alliance with Damian Priest and the newly christenedly named Judgment Day faction. The kind of Edge has kind of got that vibe from what I've seen, is that he's got a mixture of his ruthlessness and how egotistical he is with from his Rated R Superstar days, mixed with the Brood stuff, the vampiric stuff he had back in the day in the early Edge era. Put that together, he got a very different character. I think it's interesting character. I like Edge. He's always got the side that he's always got the laugh and the look of a person that would be like a cult leader or something. Like he's got one of the best evil laughs out there. Let's be fair. He can do the evil stuff very well, Edge. And Damian Priest being a part of it, I like it. I think he wasn't doing anything anyway. And why not join up Edge that can make him look great as well? So I'm up for it. But I guess the story of this one is basically like AJ Styles wants revenge. He brought up his family again. So obviously AJ wants revenge. He wants to get him back for what he did to him. So it's a very simple storyline. But I think with two great performers in AJ Styles and Edge, you're going to get a good one here. But yeah, with the match itself, yeah, it was fine. It was better because I think that it was better paced. And the one at WrestleMania was fine. But I think it's like at times it was too slow for its own good. And sometimes when you've got a show that long, you've got to keep up the pace because you compare it to obviously the Seth Rollins and Cody, they kept that pace quite well. So with this one, not so much, but it's definitely better, obviously. But we started the match, we had Edge and AJ Styles and hockey fight, obviously hate each other at this point, so both going out the gates, very cool stuff. We had Edge, we had a nice little springboard moonsault on the outside, on Edge on the outside. It's pretty cool. We had a bit where he couldn't hit the foot. I think there was a story going on about Fred about the phenomenal forearm, saying he hasn't hit it because obviously at WrestleMania I don't think he hit it, and obviously he was just about to hit it when I was Damian Priest at WrestleMania. So it's like he hasn't hit it. So it's the idea that when he does, he'll beat Edge. So maybe that's the story going on. I like that story beat of the finisher. I like stuff like that. That's really good there. But yeah, obviously he tried to do the phenomenal forearm, but Edge scouted him and kind of like, hit his injured arm, the one that he injured by hitting him in the jaw a couple of weeks ago, and backstage. So obviously Edge cut working on that injured arm. We had some cool stuff with Edge did a catapult that sent Edge's shoulder into the steel steps. Keep working on that shoulder. We had also cool stuff. We had like an exposed turnbuckle thing. I don't know what Edge was doing, like with the middle, not top one, but the middle one. Well, I think he was trying to go with suplex and he racked it out of his socket. He was trying to sort that early on, but then he came back and obviously he pulled it out. And then he was just about to charge for a spear, but he just went straight into the exposed turnbuckle. AJ done a roll up forward too. But yeah, we obviously got AJ Styles hitting the Styles clashing, Edge just kicking out. All kinds of awesome stuff. It started slow, but it started to pick up more near the end of the match. But obviously at the end, we obviously had Styles going to the top, probably going to hit like a Phoenix Splash or something like that. It's pretty much AJ's start at that point. You've got Damian Priest coming out. Obviously he's possibly banned from ringside, but technically they were like, well, he's on the ramp. He's not at ringside. It's like, well, yeah, but he shouldn't be there. But the heels, they lie. They're dishonest heels. Don't trust heels. Yeah, obviously trying to distract AJ, and then obviously Finn Balor, the alliance. I like the AJ and Finn Balor alliance. Finn Balor's doing something. AJ, you got the club dynamic. Two of the most successful Bullet Club leaders, maybe. Makes you think. I like it. So, at least you put him in a tag team. I like that. At least they're doing something with Finn. Instead of just making him just be the guy that lost US title, never defended it, and lost it to Austin Theory. Just saying, but yeah, kind of. But the ending is kind of interesting because it looks like interesting dynamic here. Where basically the ending was Styles was it still at the top, just about to go to the top, and then some hooded figure hit Styles, pushed him off the top rope. Well, it's one of these things. We're sure it's no spoiler. Ripley, but I have to admit they covered the face quite well. So if I wasn't watching it, I wouldn't know, so I kind of like. Well, obviously I knew beforehand, so it wasn't a shock, but it would have been a shock. But then you obviously got Edge after that taking advantage of this. Edge clover the cross face submission. AJ was just about to get to near open, and he changed it and got a chokehold, guillotine, and obviously Styles sold it really well. He passed out. The referee called it. Sold it. It's great there. Obviously Styles lost again, and he lost by submission by a KO. And the question is, obviously you just said it, but the question was, who was it going to be? Who was behind the mask? And it was Rhea Ripley. She's now part of Judgment Day. Has been rumoured for weeks that she was going to be a part of it. I like it because one, Rhea Ripley hasn't done much. Also with the kind of dark, vampiric kind of feeling going with what they're going for. Very like kind of like Ministry of Darkness kind of darkness theme, or like the Brood. Rhea Ripley works that obviously with her look, works well there. They're both, and also it means they can be top dog with Edge. And that means they can only enhance Rhea Ripley and make it being more interesting and actually doing something, and just put in random tag teams for them, so we can just justify those women tag team championships. Put them in a faction. I think Edge hasn't had a faction for a while. I don't think he's had one since the La Family, or the Edgeheads, or them days. Don't he's ever? Actually, he's been more. I keep thinking of Jericho. I'm thinking of. There hasn't been in factions. Edge has been in so many. Forget what I just said there. But yeah, I like this dynamic. Obviously, I guess in the story here would be AJ just can't beat him one-on-one. Someone just keeps getting in the way. That again is a perfect analogy for we're gonna get a Hell in a Cell match. It's either gonna be that or Cody and Seth Rollins. But this one seems like it would make sense why there would be Hell in a Cell. Because one, I think Edge's record isn't great in Hell in a Cell. And obviously AJ wants to stop anyone from getting in. So either be a Hell in a Cell. I like that story. That makes sense to me. So I think this is weird. It's like I see what I hate about it, but it's like when if you just watch WWE just by the pay-per-views, it's all right. It's good at times. It's just they don't know how to build shows up anymore through their TV shows. They're very good at like delivering a okay to good-ish pay-per-view, but they don't know how to build up with TV shows anymore. So when you take away that element and what's it solely, I think that's why I get my enjoyment from WWE. That's just me. But yeah, so obviously that sets up. It's going to be a rematch of Hell in a Cell. It's pretty much a given at this point. I'm not sure if there's anything on Raw about it, so I'm not sure. So, but yeah, I'm intrigued to see where this new Judgment Day Alliance, Rhea Ripley, Damian Priest. I'm assuming that obviously if there's going to be a six-man women-man tag or whatever, I'm assuming it's going to be the way it's set up and the way kind of Rhea Ripley's gone against Liz Morgan. It's going to be a situation of AJ Finn and Liz Morgan teaming up to go against the Judgment Day. I'm up for that. It gives Liz Morgan something to do. She's got a storyline that could be interesting. Would be for once. So yeah, I'm intrigued by it. It's good. It's match-wise, it's better than WrestleMania. It was good. I think the finish worked. And yeah, I'm intrigued to see what we do Hell in a Cell. Should be good. But yeah, so that's obviously after that we said is WrestleMania Backlash. You're gonna have a lot of rematches. So this is one. We've had Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins. We've had AJ versus Edge. Now we've got the trifecta, the third rematch of WrestleMania Backlash from WrestleMania, and that is Charlotte Flair versus Ronda Rousey for that SmackDown Women's Championship, and it's an I Quit match. So yeah, I didn't have a lot of expectations. I didn't have a lot of expectations going in because I wasn't loving their match at WrestleMania. I think Sunday was it? I think it was Saturday or Sunday. Can't remember, but yeah, I wasn't. It was good. It was fine, but I was really that finish really rubbed me the wrong way. So hopefully they can rectify that in this match. So yes, let's talk about that match. So yes, obviously next match to talk about is the I Quit match for the WWE SmackDown Women's Championship with Charlotte Flair taking on Ronda Rousey for a match that I was again. I think this is the story of most WWE pay-per-view these days. I wasn't hyped for it. I have to admit, Ronda's return has been underwhelming for me a little bit. Hasn't really done anything for me. I don't think she's really had the hype since obviously she came back personally. That's just my opinion. If you think she's done well, good for her. But I think she was. But yeah, I mean the story obviously here with. I'm not quite sure. Obviously the ending of it was a bit. If they wanted to do another match, did they have to do it in a way that basically I think she hit the ref or something, and then the ref called it for disqualification. I can't remember it 100%, but my god, it was a lame finish to a match. They could have thought something a bit better, but yeah, it was always going to get a rematch. I Quit's interesting choice. I would have personally went for a submission match, personally, because obviously you got two submission specialists. Makes sense, but then submission, I Quit, same thing really. So it's all little things there. Maybe me personally, but yeah, I wasn't really looking forward to it really. But then I think that's how WWE are. I wasn't. Then when you watch the match was very entertaining. I think it was a good match. It was basically. I think the idea that it made it I Quit match a very like no disqualification type situation, and it means they can use weapons, made the match really. They always enhance the match sometimes when you're not into it, because you always with chairs, kendo sticks, possibly tables, or fighting in the crowd, you're going to have some fun because everyone likes using weapons. You're going to get some cool spots out of it or something cool to see anyway. So that's just me. But yeah, obviously started off with the stuff obviously with Flair charged Ronda Rousey, and then she knees and the elbows, a lot of the strikes. I like in the selling here. Obviously, I think the selling was very better here. Better. That's not a word. Was good here. A lot of selling, a lot of shots, and Ronda's shots looked pretty real. I liked them anyway. But yeah, I didn't really pick. It was kind of a standard kind of stuff. A lot of chops later on in the barricade. First time they asked I quit, and she says hell no. Is that all you got type situation? But then obviously when it started to break down, into the on the ramp. A cool thing with was it Flair going to get a kendo stick from under the ring? She kind of swung it, but then obviously they found themselves up to the ramp, and I like the idea that obviously Ronda Rousey had one, and then all of a sudden Charlotte went to the back and got two, so 2-on-1. You thought it was going to be a situation, but I like the idea that Ronda kind of trying to use them and use that thing she always uses, stopped her, grabbed them both, and then we had a really nice scene where it's basically very creative, very samurai the way she was holding them, very cool. It looked like it was a good image. I liked it. It was really cool. And then she was just hitting kendo sticks left and right on Charlotte, really hitting the hell out of her. And you had a situation where the ref said, "Do you quit?" And she said, "Hell no." But if I was getting multiple kendo sticks to my body, I probably would quit. But I'm not a champion. I'm not a wrestler. So that's just me personal opinion. But then obviously we got into the crowd. We had stuff like, fighting on the outside into the crowd. Was it Flair throw a drink in Ronda's face? That kind of stuff. Obviously, that's a little thing I would point out. This is redhead girl, or I think it's a woman. And she's really into it, really checking, really into the match. That I like that. I like seeing that stuff. She's checking up, Ronda, get up, and obviously Charlotte. I'm surprised Charlotte didn't do anything heelish and try push her the way else out there, because she's a heel. She'll get really proper heat for that. But yes, obviously then after that we got they fought back. They got back to the outside of the ring, and then obviously we got a "We want tables" chant that they could have done a table spot. I would have liked a table spot. But you don't always get what you want, do they? Then there was a lot of stuff on the announce table. We had a really good thing where Flair picked up Ronda. I think she was trying to go through, she picked her up in midair, and then she powerbombed onto the barricade. But she still refused to quit. Then obviously we had another spot when she went to the top. She tried to go for a moonsault on the quarter, and then she just tried to attach an arm bar on her left arm, the Ninja worm, and she was pulling it back, pulling it back. I can't describe very well. Screaming in pain. Great selling there by Flair. Charlotte Flair there with the screaming. You can hear the agony and pain, but she still didn't quit. One thing I don't know. The crowd weren't 100% into this match. I don't know if it was just because the way it sounded or weren't. I don't know what it was. I mean, I've got a feeling that they turned it down so you can hear the mic, so maybe you wouldn't hear the crowd as much. But it might have been because they weren't into it as much as I would like. But the match kind of ended with, you had Flair hits natural, the chair was involved, that would play into the finish, we should point out. You had Flair hit a natural selection. Natural selection onto the steel chair. Then she applied a figure 8 submission on Ronda. Done the bridge as well. But then Flair run away, using the chair to break free. And then kicked the kick chair out of her hand. And then obviously Ronda was down. And Flair, last chance, she picked up the mic, trying to use mind games, saying Happy Mother's Day. Kind of a lie. She brought up her kids again. Not a good idea. This emboldened Ronda Rousey. She came back, was able to hit her armbar, locked in her armbar, but she got caught. Her arm got caught in the chair and her head as well, so it was over. So that's not good when you win an armbar. And then obviously they're asking should she quit. She said she doesn't want to quit. And then Ronda was like, "That's good, that's fine. It means I can do more." And then she started twisting it around the chair. Charlotte sold it great, and she just said, "I quit." And Ronda Rousey is a new Women's SmackDown Women's Champion. In a very, very good match. Very good. I think these matches are always enhanced by that. I quit, submission. Interesting. Again, will we have a third match? I would say no, or you gotta have a rematch. But if I was smart, you put it on SmackDown and then have something different. But again, the problem with Ronda is when she won the title last time, it was fun, but it was just the matches she had. There was no compelling storylines. That just no one's really credible. I think on SmackDown it's going to be really hard to think of someone, unless you go Sasha maybe. I don't even know who else is on SmackDown. That's what I mean. I'm not quite sure, but it's a good moment for Ronda Rousey. Second match back, and she's won the title. It's kind of how they book these days. She's basically the Brock of the women's division. But it's cool stuff here. I think it was really good. They create another creative ending. I like it. I think heroes have got to stop mentioning people's families, because if they do, they emboldened and really the faces and help them win. I think that's the story. Story of the pay-per-view. Don't bring out people's families, or they're going to get really mad. That's basically what it is. But yeah, good stuff here. I liked it. It was good. I think the crowd weren't into it as much, but I've still got my theory of what that was. But yeah, so probably going to be a rematch at some point. Probably going to be a rematch at Hell in a Cell, and it's probably going to be amazing in the sense of that if this is anything to go by, should be a good match as well. So let's end the feud on a high. So yeah, good stuff here. Yeah, don't know what to say really. Cool stuff here. Now we're going to go and talk about a match that's basic. I don't want to say the toilet break match, the cool down match, but I don't think anyone was really intrigued. I wasn't intrigued with the match between Happy Corbin and Madcap Moss. I'm nothing against Corbin, but I don't think anyone's really been too excited with any feud he's been in. It sounds horrible, but it's just my opinion. Anyway, that's yes, let's go and talk about that match. Let's go and talk about Happy Corbin versus Madcap Moss. Let's go and talk about it. So yes, let's talk about a Happy Corbin versus Madcap Moss. And again, it's a cool down match. Let's be fair. From doing a lot of fantasy booking recently, a lot of stuff with Kyle and all that, figured out that you need those kind of matches to cool the crowd down. And let's be honest, this is that match. Obviously, this is a match to set up after Happy Corbin blames Madcap Moss for the reason he distracted him. That's the reason why he lost his undefeated streak to Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania. Typical heel stuff. Blame everybody else but himself. That makes sense. Obviously turns on his friend. Madcap Moss did a thing with there was a thing going on to the Go Home show with stuff his trophy. There could be jealousy there as well. It's a simple friend turning on a friend storyline. Nothing really crazy there, but you weren't expecting a crazy match, and to be fair, it was not that. But when you look about what this match was supposed to do, it done its job quite well. There was not much anything to really talk home about. You had a cool thing where Moss is showing up how impressive leap for he did early on in the match. Cool stuff here. Obviously, then it countered. Does some cool stuff, but then it lead into a massive chokeslam by Corbin. You had a thing where you had Corbin doing like a senton back splash that the announcers were saying it's a new move. It's like, well, no, it's not, but it doesn't do it often. But yeah, we had some cool stuff with Moss coming back with some elbows, tossing him out of the ring. Moss then runs to the ropes, but then went to the ropes with shoulder tackle, but then sends Moss into the ring post. We had a nice forward slam. It's basically all Corbin countering, so he knows his friends so well. But yeah, I mean, kind of the finish is really we're going to talk about. You had obviously Corbin countered a Moss move with a beta back suplex into a 2-4-2. Then you obviously got Corbin walking over to him, punching him, trying to come back with moves off top rope, but Corbin moved. And Corbin hit deep six signature 4-2. Then the move that usually gets it, and then obviously you got Corbin going to the top, tried to go for a charge corner, hit a charge corner splash, but then Moss ran the ropes, got out of it, ducked clothesline, hit a sunset flip pin, was able to get it. Really ended quite suddenly for nearly a 10-minute match, and yeah. No surprise here, Madcap Moss got the shock win. Not really, but made Happy Corbin's life a little bit less happy. So yeah, I mean, it's not a spectacular match. It's not an amazing match, but for what it would need to be done, cool the crowd down, chill everyone out, it done its job well, and that's all we needed from a match like that. I wasn't expecting greatness. I mean, from this, it shows they're really going to probably push Madcap Moss. They wouldn't have made him win the Andre Giant Battle if they're not going to push him. But yeah, I mean, the problem with Madcap Moss is like probably Seth or Booth. There was with Nakamura. What's their characters other than just really overly excited and has a very over-the-top laugh? I think that's the thing they need to do with some of these characters. With Moss, they need to figure out what is his character. This might be because I don't watch it as much, so maybe if you could let me know what it is. But from what I've seen, it doesn't seem like it's other than just, there's nothing there. But that doesn't mean it doesn't work. But for this story, it kind of worked. So yeah, I mean, yeah, Moss. I'm assuming they're going to put him. Wouldn't surprise me if he builds him up to win the IC title at some point. Because again, not on the show to win the US title. I personally don't like that. I know you can't put it on the time, but them titles are getting the dirty. So wouldn't surprise me if Moss wins the Intercontinental Championship at some point in this couple of months, or Corbin wins it. I don't know, but it wouldn't surprise me. That's why they're going with Moss. Him win a Intercontinental Championship gold. So that's why I would go for it. But yeah, so cool match here. But now we must get to the main event of this pay-per-view. Yes, we must talk about Roman Reigns, the Usos, the Bloodline taking on Drew McIntyre and RK Bro. So yeah, so let's talk about the main event. So yes, we are in the main event. We are talking about the main event. I have to admit, from watching it, from knowing the results and looking about the card, I was thinking they're doing this as the main event of a pay-per-view. Not the greatest idea. I personally would have put... I was thinking that Charlotte versus Ronda Rousey would be a good main event, or Cody, Seth. But after watching this match, I get why they put this at the main event, purely for the fact that they could have made it a little bit interesting, where they could have done old school Attitude Era, where the titles were on the line. And if they did that, the finish would have made a bit more sense. But they didn't. It was just standard 6-man tag. Obviously, we're talking about the main event with the Bloodline, Roman Reigns and the Usos going against Drew McIntyre and RK Bro. Basically, we're supposed to get a kind of RK Bro versus the Usos unification match for the Raw and SmackDown's Tag Team Championships. But for some reason, they've changed that. I don't know why. Don't know much about it. But we got this. And you've got 6 very capable, very good wrestlers in a ring. You've got... The crowd were actually really into this. Surprisingly was really into this match. So it came off really well. I watching this match made me realize I was really tempted. I was really up there to go, this is why this show sucks. This shouldn't be here. But after watching it really was just a really entertaining, good 20 minutes of just pure great. As WWE do this quite well sometimes. 6-man tag action. They are very good at it. It's always entertaining. If you want to know how they do it well, always go back to What's the Shield. I don't think I've ever seen it doing them. They always made those 6-man tags very entertaining. In this case, did the same here. But yeah, obviously with the match itself, kind of started off with just it was RK Bro and Drew having the control early. I liked the bit at the beginning where Drew was like taking him out and then wanted Roman, and then you've got Paul Heyman kind of pleading for his tribal chief to not go in there, and then he does tag in, and then just when you thought he was just about to fight Drew, he tags back out. The most heelish thing you can do. Love it. The crowd didn't love it. I love that. It's like, he's the tribal chief. He does things on his time, not on your time. Love that kind of stuff. Then obviously, early on, it was just basically a standard 6-man tag. Nothing crazy, nothing amazing. Then obviously when we had Reigns coming in, but really it kind of picked up when we finally got that Drew Roman Reigns counter. It was kind of clever when he kind of pulled, I think, Jay or Jimmy back, got the tag, but he didn't think Riddle would get to the tag on Drew early, but he did. And then he kind of looked, and it was back and forth, and then the crowd were up for it. And yeah, then we just started picking, good old fashioned back and forth. Yes, and obviously then it just really picked up. Then the match really picked up. You had Drew, you had Roman doing was it Superman punch off the steps, really cool out of nowhere. You even had a situation where I think it was later on, but obviously you had Roman kind of doing he was really arrogant at this point later on in the match, where he holding both titles up in the ring, really showing that he is the tribal chief. But then obviously after that it was all control. But then when Randy came in, people were pumped for that. Another hot tag, everyone was up for it. People were pumped for this match. It's quite surprising, actually, I've got to be honest. But yes, and obviously then we came in, Orton. Then you got a big Orton hit at RKO on Roman Reigns. Crown popped big for that. Then obviously I think it was Jimmy, and then Jimmy went for super kicks, and Orton done RKO on him. Went for a count, but then Jay braked up for the 2. Then obviously the match kind of ended with yeah, it's just basically move after move, end up, that kind of stuff. When you get in that kind of match, you got Matt Riddle kind of setting up for an RKO, but then Jay avoided it, goes for a roll up for a 2. Then you've got, stuff said, Superman punch was of steel steps on the outside. Then you got was it Drew tossing Reigns' shoulder into the steel steps, or was it Roman putting Drew into the steel steps? Then no, yes, the other way around. My bad. Yes, sorry. You got Drew clearing off the announce table. Then Jimmy comes save Roman. Then Drew hits Jimmy with the headbutt with a Glasgow kiss. Then Reigns comes and hits an Uranagi, or basically like the rock bottom sort of match through the table. He's out of the match. Then obviously Riddle does a dive to the outside on Reigns. Then Jimmy does a dive, and Jay does a suicide dive on Riddle on the floor. Then we get back in the ring. James just hits a jumping kick. Oh, then Riddle with a knee, and then Jay hits a super kick. Jay goes to the top. Riddle pops up and gives an RKO off the top. Then obviously just when then Reigns does the what you expect, comes in, tags himself in, hits one spear, 1, 2, 3, and yeah, the Bloodline win, and not RK Bro and Drew. I get it, they're trying to keep him strong, but when I think about it, especially when you know the rumors going around that basically Roman Reigns is going to be off for 10 weeks. So that's basically 2 months. So we're not going to have a world champion for 2 months. Yeah, and he just wins and goes. I personally think if they're setting up the match, I think they're setting up. They're either setting up that Drew faced him at SummerSlam, or Drew faced him at the UK pay-per-view. I don't think they've named it yet, but the UK pay-per-view where Drew in Wales, that Drew can win it. If they do that, but then I thought, well, Drew needs to get a win here, doesn't he? Then maybe you can do a story where Roman needs time to recuperate because that loss has devastated him, and he comes back, and then Usos have to keep the guards before he comes back. But he just wins and goes. I mean, there is another story you can go there where maybe like he wins, but then when they go like Drew, what was it? The Usos lose tag titles. Everything goes to crap, and then obviously like Drew beats them up. And then Roman comes back and then accept a match there. Maybe. I don't know. I just think Drew and RK Bro should have won this match. But I don't know if I don't know why they didn't go for all the titles on the line. Because then that would have made it a bit more interesting. And then with Roman won, it made sense. Just made sense. But that's just me. I think it's going to do fantasy booking weekly. I've always got my fantasy booking. I've got my booking cap all the time, so it's very strange. But but I think a very good main event. Very good. I mean, as I said, a lot of people say they prefer this one to the other, just Cody and Seth. I would say I prefer that one more, just because of the counters and the way them two work. I just think, and I like the finish more. But it's all personal preference. But that's just me. But so. That's the end of the show. So let's quickly go and put my final thoughts on the whole thing. Let's go. So that's my review of WrestleMania Backlash 2022. In a show that, low expectations, coming out feeling pretty damn good. I actually thought it was a really good show. I think the pacing was good. It wasn't as long. It was 3 hours, but the pacing was good. The matches, in a way, the big matches that they were kind of putting across, delivered in a way. Interesting stuff with obviously Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins, like that. I think that's the best match tonight. Just me personally, best match there. Nice finish there. Obviously the Edge versus AJ's got an interesting story going there, and I like the finish that again another person gets involved. That was a cool finish, and obviously the main event was really awesome as well. Minus that I think they should have went with Drew winning, but that's just personal preference of mine. But that's just me. But obviously you got and I think the Charlotte versus Ronda Rousey match was good as well. So it was a very good show. I think the matches that were supposed to be the cool down matches worked. So it worked in a sense. I think it was a good paced show. I think that's another thing about WWE is like they know how to build. They know how to build. They don't know how to build pay-per-views anymore. They just don't know. They don't know anymore. They don't know how to. But when it comes to the pay-per-views, they do all right. I don't think I've ever come out not enjoying the in-win action. The problem is the stories aren't always there to build up, so you don't get as excited. If they built this up a bit better, I would have been pumped for it. But that's just me. But so let's think to myself, what ratings should we give this show? Personally, I would give it going to give it a 7 just because I think the big matches can't deliver. I think, or 6.5, a 7. I think it was good. It was good enough that. I think it was a good show. So I personally think, yeah, Cody, Seth, best match of the night, my opinion. But, you know, let me know in the comments below what you think of that. Yeah, that's my view of WrestleMania Backlash. I will be back. I'll be back, or me and Josh will hopefully be back for Double or Nothing. I think that's in a couple of weeks. A lot of big matches there. Obviously, we've got the big main event with Cody. Was not Cody? No, wrong company now. Wrong company. With CM Punk versus Hangman Page for that AEW World Championship. It looks like it's another stack card for them, so I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be good. So don't know what more to say to this. All I say is obviously for the next WWE one, it's going to be Money in the Bank, I think. So obviously Josh will be back for that. I cannot wait to obviously start talking pro wrestling with Josh again. It's going to be a very spectacular. It's going to be a very big event when we finally are back together, or both doing reviews together again, because it's been it's felt like forever. But you know, it's a busy man, so am I. So finding time to do it is not practical at the moment. But when it does happen, it's going to be great. So. Yeah, hope you enjoyed me as for that, either Double or Nothing or Money in the Bank. But yeah, so we'll be back in the next couple of weeks for. I'll be back. Either way, you'll see me. You'll see me. Okay. You'll see me for Double or Nothing. That should be fun. If you like what you see, what you hear, please like and subscribe. And also, please leave a comment. We'd love to hear what you think of my review and of the show in general. So no more to say. If really is the I'll be Stuart Irvine. Hope you enjoyed my review, and yeah, we'll be back in a couple of weeks. Have an awesome rest of the week, and see you then, everyone. See you, everyone. Bye bye.